Jose, the state of Michigan has made June 19th an official holiday called Juneteenth. And I think that this should be celebrated, and the history of it should be well known and taught to our children.
Of course, should be celebrating for the children because it was a significant history. It have a lot of relevance for us because it's when the Republican Party was created and fought to abolish slavery.
That's right, Jose. The Republican Party was born out of the whole abolitionist movement to end slavery. And President Lincoln's proclamation, his Emancipation Proclamation, which is what Juneteenth is all based on, is a Republican triumph. And what I find interesting, Jose, is that the Democrats never wanted to acknowledge it before because it was a Republican triumph, and it sort of showed how the Republican Party was born out of the quest for freedom for all people and less government control. But the Democrats did not want to acknowledge this. And I think they forgot the history now that the Democrat-controlled government in Michigan has made Juneteenth a holiday, which we celebrate.
Exactly. The Republican Party was created in 1854. Actually, the first convention was here in Michigan, in Jackson, Michigan, and was created by members of the Whig Party and college professors from Hillsdale College. And Lincoln was there. Lincoln is actually the first Republican president ever elected. And Lincoln ran with a platform to abolish slavery, and he was a Republican. What happened is, over many years, Democrats tried to erase history and make people believe that they are the party that always support minorities, but they didn't. They actually support slavery.
That's right, Jose. But I think what really needs to be taught in schools is what a great country this is because of the what we did to strive to end slavery. This was going on worldwide. It was brought to this area by the British. It was all part of the British mercantile system. The whole economy in the South, the agricultural economy, was really dependent upon that kind of labor. And this was rejected in the North, and there was a great effort to end it. But in order to break free of England and become a country, they had to make all sorts of compromises because the North needed the southern territories, the southern colonies to join to fight to become the United States. And so a compromise was made, but that was always there. And that was going to lead towards, unfortunately, a civil war of the two countries. And that's where that whole abolition movement grew into the Republican Party. And Abraham Lincoln, the leader of it, and was able to, through the cost of a lot of blood and treasure, was able to end slavery. And the Emancipation Proclamation was a Republican triumph. And It was June 19th that was picked by this, because the general in Texas, a Union general, took the Emancipation Proclamation and made his own proclamation there to put it into action to free the slaves. And that's why June 19th was picked. And thus, June 19th put together the words of Juneteenth, and is now becoming a holiday, which celebrates the Republican triumph and says a lot about the Republican Party and the history of the United States.
No question about it. So we know that the Republican Party abolished slavery with Abraham Lincoln leadership. But what happened after? Many people want to know why some of the former slaves forgot about this. What happened was, during that time, for many years, the Democrats or the Southern didn't allow a slave to learn how to read and write. They didn't even allow to go to a church. So when they got free, they didn't know they were free because they couldn't read the newspapers or find out the news. So they believed they're still a slave. So, and over the years, when they were losing power, the Democrats tried to influence terror, and they want to terrorize them, where they create the Ku Klux Klan. The Ku Klux Klan was, to me, my personal opinion, that was the first terrorist group in America. They were cover their faces, similar to what we see Antifa, things like that. They cover their faces and go and commit some crimes or create terror, scare people. And they were members of the Democrat Party. If you remember, one of the longest serving senators, Democrat, Senator Robert Byrd, who was the longest senator actually in the Senate, he even have a statue in the Congress. And nobody says, hey, we need to remove the statue, this guy. He can keep his statue in the Congress. Right? Remember when Antifa, Black Lives Matter were protesting and says we need to get rid of the statues or monuments, but they want to keep a monument of a senator who was a Ku Klux Klan member. And then you even mentioned Biden, Obama did the eulogy for this guy.
The eulogy.
I mean, this a lot, yeah. And now they says, oh, we support the minorities. We want to create this new holiday, Juneteenth.
In fact, in his eulogy, when Robert Byrd died, Biden talked about what a great role model he was for him. And that can be easily found in his eulogy.
There's the many faces, and Joe Biden has been playing politics for more than 50 years. He was in Congress when Jimmy Carter was president. He knows the game. He's a Washington establishment, and he's still there, and he wants to go for re-election. And he's not someone that really cares about our country. He's playing games for a long time. It's the truth.
But I'm happy that Juneteenth is now a Michigan state holiday, because now we should teach in the schools this history of the Republican Party, how it is the party of freedom. It is the party that freed the slaves. And it continues to be the party for personal freedom and less government control and liberty. And that the Democrat Party has a history of fighting that and in trying to basically continue enslavement of people by making them dependent on government programs and taking away the incentive of hard work. And also their programs have put in things that make destroy the family unit and all that. And it's the family unit that is so important to make people successful going forward. So hopefully, Jose, Juneteenth becomes the continuous annual symbol of the Republican triumph.
Just before we finish, I want people to know that in the Republican Party, the last speech of Lincoln was he wants to give them, to former slaves, U.S. citizenship, the right to vote, and the Republicans give the former slave the right to vote. The first U.S. senator, Afro-American U.S. senator, was a Republican. The first 6-7 members on the U.S. House of Representatives of Afro-Americans were Republicans. The Democrats don't want to go to session because they don't want to serve with them. That's why the U.S. senator actually he resigned, because the Democrats don't want to actually serve with him. And there's many other things in the Democrats have been covered up. Many of the rights was given by the Republicans after Civil War, and the Democrats don't want to recognize those rights.
They voted against it. If you look at the votes, it was all Republican votes that sent it through, with all Democrats voting no.
Exactly. So they want to rewrite history now, make it look like Republicans were supporting slavery. And it's a perception up there. Yeah. If you ask people, because history, I guess I don't know what is currently in the schools, what they're teaching, but when I talk to people, they still think the Republican Party they actually used to be supporting slavery back in the Civil War. And
the opposite is the truth.
Exactly.
And that's why now that we have Juneteenth as an official state holiday, we can make sure that students are taught the real history of what ended slavery.
Exactly.
Okay, Jose, until the next time, my friend.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you for the opportunity. Happy Juneteenth.
Happy Juneteenth.